And it's not work. It's not that the work part is fine, but it's this mentality of struggling. It's this mentality of having to, it has to be harder. It's supposed to be hard. And I don't know. I don't know that it'll ever change. I think it can. I don't think it has to be struggle. I think it could be work without it being struggle. But I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe that's how humans are wired.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Pickles and Pasta with Steph and Jay. And this week, we are going to talk about romanticizing the struggle. I have definitely done that a lot in my life, but let's put it over to you, Jay, and give me you always have the most profound way of summarizing something. And that's one of the things I love about you. So I thought it would be a good way to kick off the episode.
Thank you for that. No pressure whatsoever. Yeah, it's an interesting topic. I've seen it with a lot of people. Not just, I've seen it with us too, for sure, but I've seen it with a lot of people. I'd say creatives for sure. Entertainers and which are part of the creators, I guess, world. I think part of it is that in the beginning, it's a struggle. No matter what you're doing, right? As a baby, walking is a struggle. It's adorable. For us watching, it's adorable, but as the child, it's a struggle. 1 foot, 2, I'm just imagining babies walking. Sorry. And it just, all these little things, they're a struggle. So that's most of the time is the struggle, mm-hmm. Right? So you get into that place of, it's how it feeds you. It's that struggle of getting to that place. Right. And, so I think for a lot of people, we hear these things about you got to be prepared for success and you got to all that kind of stuff. It sounds nice, like reading a book or listening to a podcast or something like that. But in reality, it's a very weird feeling. When you're not struggling, it's just very weird. And honestly, I find a lot of people that are no longer struggling that create drama and create struggle because that's where they're comfortable. And I find it fascinating.
Yeah, and maybe they don't know how to get out of that way of identifying themselves as that's part of their identity as this person who is either a founder of something or is a solo, creative in some way or whatever it is that you're doing, honestly. I was, thinking about this for the past couple of days, and I have definitely done this, first of all. That's number one. I think it's why did I do it? Obviously it was hard starting a fashion brand without having really any experience in the non-design side of a fashion brand. I was always a designer, and you're usually not running a company when you're a designer. There are other people that do all that.
You didn't have the business part, right? You were the design. You had the designer part, but not the business part when you started the brand, right? Yeah.
And I think I thought that it would be easier just because I did have other businesses that were design related. But it's very different when you're an interior designer and you're working one-on-one with a client. That is very doable, and it was very doable for me. But when I branched into, I'm going to start a brand, that was a whole different ballgame. And so I think
it's really, if you think about it, there was nothing you did that could have prepared you for it even, right? It wasn't you would think on paper you did all these other businesses, so you should be able to do another business. But the business of your brand created a whole other element of things that you just didn't have any experience in. Like, it's amazing how
course.
far you
Yeah.
got without having the experience to get there. I mean, it's really incredible.
And that is a whole different podcast episode, because I do think that that would be an interesting thing to talk about. And I think naivete is an element that we can't, like take
Okay.
off the list. I think there's
Sure.
something to that. But
Okay.
back to the struggle part, I think there are different things at play here when we talk about this. I think part of it comes from like, where are you coming from? And I can't discount the fact that I was coming off of a situation in my life that felt like I had some people lined up against me. And in some ways, I felt that doing Have Some Fun Today was going to kind of make all of that stuff go away, and that I was going to be able to clean my slate and have a fresh start with relationships where I lived.
Interesting.
And I thought that if I could prove to people that I was a serious, hardworking person, and this is all like, I'm saying this for the first time right now in this podcast. I think if I could prove to people that I was doing this good thing that was helping other people by spreading this message, I was going to be seen in this new light, and it was going to kind of put me in a new space, around all the people I knew, including my family. And I think I bought into this idea that I was like working so hard and, struggling, truly struggling. But I just don't think that that translated at all in the way that I thought it would.
Yeah.
Plus, it was also really freaking hard and
Right.
full of real struggle. And so I was really struggling, and I just kind of bought into this whole identity. And I think it lasted quite a long time until I realized this isn't fun. No pun intended. And I didn't want to do that anymore. So I think, there's something to talk about and unpack there.
So not having fun, having some fun today. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
That might be the book title.
That could be a book title. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, not the book title. A book title. Yes, there's many books in your brain. That's for sure. Yeah, I guess that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I can understand why you would do that, but yeah, you're right. That's another episode. But like, as far as like that struggle part, like even when things are good, there's this tendency of like kind of making them not good. And I don't mean like destroying a business or destroying a project, but like we kind of create this other energy, like we have to still be struggling, and it's, I mean, maybe in the creative space, there's these things that are maybe glorified is maybe not the right word, but, the struggling artist or, the athlete that has to, we hear like with Jalen that he had to, went to the gym at 10 o'clock at night when there was nobody there, like, like this grind and like all this kind of stuff. And now with social media, like, it's not like they can keep that to themselves anymore, or they can, but they choose not to. We see it, it's all over the place. So it's like the people that are really successful have to grind it out. They had to have struggle. If they didn't have struggle, then it doesn't work. Like, all these things. And you see it even from like, let's say entrepreneurs now, let's say younger people that come from a ton of money because their parents were successful, right? So like, they're not struggling. Like, it's not the same kind of struggle. And so, but they bring themselves into this space that they're struggling. And so that is, working so hard. Like, it's so hard, and that's what you hear as opposed to not. So it's interesting. It's a bit of a,
it's a little bit of a,
we're R-rated, right? Like, it's a bit of a mind fuck. Like,
yeah. And it's a little bit of a conundrum too, because like, that now you see all this stuff on social media about how to start a company and how to be an entrepreneur. And they all talk about like, you have to be almost obsessed with whatever it is you're doing. So when you think about that word obsessed, and then you also realize all the work, all the different jobs that are really part of running a fashion business, like it's definitely more than one person can really do without struggling. To be quite honest, unless you have like a team of people that this person's handling marketing and this person's handling, photo shoots and design and logistics and sourcing. I mean, that is just, there's so many more things on top of that. And so when you are doing that alone, it is a struggle. And especially when you didn't know you were going to have to do all that stuff.
Sure.
When you find out it's this surprise, like surprise, you're going to have to learn how to do this and this and this and this and this. So.
Yeah. But I mean, and I hear you. And, of course, like for you, I mean, you were basically on your own for a really long time. I've done things where I've been on my own, although I've always tried to bring people into the loop as quickly as possible because I don't want to do everything myself, even though I still work, stupid hours and all that kind of stuff. But we're talking about it as like these smaller businesses, right, that we have.
Yes. I mean, that's where my experience is. So, of course, I have to.
Sure. But as you're talking about like, oh, I have to learn this and I have to do that. I mean, it reminds me or brings back a memory of me, back when we worked with Zac Posen, ages ago and like getting ready for Fashion Week. And it was a struggle. Like it was insane. Like, what it was like and everything, you'd go to the office or the studio, whatever, like a month or two before. Everybody was pretty chill. Everybody was, whatever, no big deal. And it was a really beautiful space and blah, 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 blah. And then it's like it's mayhem. And it's like, the energy was around that struggle. Like we're struggling, like it's so hard. And you're like, okay, granted, Zac was not like the biggest, wasn't like, some huge brand, but he was pretty big and he was certainly well funded. He was very well known, right? He was very well respected, and he still is obviously well known and very well respected. And he is an incredibly talented person and a lovely guy and all that sort of stuff. But he wasn't like Ralph Lauren. He wasn't like Givenchy. He wasn't like some brand that just had oodles of money. Like, I mean, they had to watch. They had to be careful for sure.
Right.
But still, the office was enormous. I mean, the sewing rooms and everything else was just insane. Like, but it was this struggle. It was this tension. It was this, and it's like, here's a guy who clearly was, considered by most people in the industry to be one of the premier designers in the world. And he was struggling, and so.
That's also part of the nature of fashion, though,
I guess.
Like
but it's in everything.
Yeah.
It's in music. It's in sports.
Yeah,
it's in,
music,
it's in
I'm
tech,
sure.
Mm-hmm. It's a lot of these things, and I think, I don't know. I often, this is slightly different, but maybe there's some, I don't know. I'm going to throw this there. I don't know if it's going to go anywhere or whatever, but I've had these thoughts for a long time, and I've had conversations with people about it. Like when you're fundraising for a business, whatever the business is, the investors want you to struggle. And I took offense. I take offense with that. I took offense with it before. I take offense with it today. I'm saying that right now. And as I'm fundraising, I'm saying it right now. Like I remember, I've dealt with it different ways. So I've looked at it from like, okay, I don't want to get paid anything, even though I didn't necessarily have money. I was like, I don't want to get paid. I want the money that we raise to go into the business. And then I was yelled at and like really reprimanded by people and be like, you have to get paid. This is ridiculous. You have to get paid. And then I would put in like a very tiny salary. And then I was like, no, it's not enough. And then you put in, let's say, the right salary for the job that I'm doing, and investors automatically going to slash that. And it's like, why are you doing that? Like, why do I have to suffer? Like, I already have a lot of pressure to do what I'm doing. I'm just not saying me in general, a founder, right?
Yeah.
You already have, I'm saying me in that person. Consider me to be the face of these other things.
Mhm.
we're already like in this place of like, it's already really hard what we're about to do. Okay. We're trying to do something that doesn't exist. Or we're trying to do something better than somebody else. It's already a lot. There's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of responsibility. It's on our head. Like, why do you have to make it worse? And it's like, I think of it as like with these investors, and I'm not poo-pooing investors. Like, I'm grateful for them and all that sort of stuff, but they have the money to go to a nice restaurant. They have the money to take a vacation. They have the money to buy a new outfit if they want to. And you're a founder, and it's like drilled into you that you've got to struggle to get there. So you get paid less, or you have to do it with less resources. And it's like that's what it is. So I think it's so drilled into you when you're starting, as certainly as an entrepreneur, as a creative, it's your life 24 hours a day. Like, it really is. People don't get what that means. Like, it's not that you work 24 hours a day. Nobody's I mean, we have worked 24 hours in a day. Yes.
Almost.
But you don't work 24 hours every single day of the week. Like, we don't mean that. But there's never really an off switch. There's always something that you're seeing that could have relevance to what you're building or what you're doing or what you're trying to do. So that's really what it means. And I can tell you for myself, with my incredibly talented sleeping skills, I'm not sleeping. Like, my eyes are closed, technically. I'm laying down, I think, but my brain's still going at 1,000,000 miles an hour. So I think that's maybe part of it. Like maybe it's that we're told we're supposed to struggle, like literally told we're supposed to struggle. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that is true. I mean, as I watch my 81-year-old mother constantly cleaning or weeding or doing something that she thinks is worthy of her time, I can't get her to sit still. So it's no wonder I have a hard time relaxing, and I find so much enjoyment in doing all the things that I do. It's just part of how I'm wired. But do I want to be struggling? No. And I really see that as a problem for people who are entrepreneurs and are trying to do something. And I have an awareness about it now and that's why I have decided to change the things that I'm doing with my businesses, because I've realized that I have limited time on this earth, and I actually want to also enjoy my life, So I'm looking at this differently, and I don't know what the answer is for people. Maybe just like some self-awareness. And if you're constantly struggling, how are you also living your life in the most fulfilling way?
Yeah, I mean, it's like when things are going okay, you don't know what to do with yourself. Like, there's no like, like if things are peaceful and calm, and that delivery came on time, the thing I ordered arrived exactly the way I wanted it to be. The call got answered. Like, you don't know what to do with yourself. You're kind of like, you're almost like waiting for the bomb to drop, right? Like, you're like, something's not right. Like, so it's like, it's a weird sort of, I think, when you do something for so long, it's hard to undo it, right? It's hard to just stop doing it. It's funny because I know it really has zero effect on my life, but we're thinking about it like, with the Knicks winning, and go Knicks, they train and train and train and play and train and play. And, now season's over, guys. They're not just going to do nothing. Like, I mean, yes, they've got to do all these talk shows and interviews and this and that. Sure. And it's their chance to really make money on endorsements. God bless them, because they already make a lot of money, but I mean, Jalen took $113 million cut to stay on the Knicks and to, help, so the money could be moved around to other players. And they win the championship, and he wins. I mean, God bless him. I mean, talk about sacrifice. I mean, and yes, of course, he'll probably make it up and also, but, incredible. But, they can't just sit still. Like, they could sit still for longer. Like when I was in Wyoming last weekend, and we met with
perfect example.
Well, that's a whole, yeah. But like when we were talking with your niece's new boyfriend, and he's a football player, and he's got to go into training. I mean, he's training hasn't started. I mean, he's not in, the team hasn't called him in yet, but he was leaving to go with his trainer, who is in a different place, because he's got to train. There's no like, I'm not training for 6 months or whatever. Like, so it's part of, and it's not work. It's not that the work part is fine, but it's like, it's this mentality of struggling. It's this mentality of having to, it has to be harder. It's supposed to be hard. And, I don't know. I don't know that it'll ever change. I think it can. I don't think it has to be struggle. I think it could be work without it being struggle. But I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe that's how humans are wired.
Well, if there's nothing resisting, like let's think about that word. I was thinking about muscles, and when you don't, I was thinking about muscles and how they atrophy if you don't challenge them, if you don't offer resistance to your muscles. You'll start to get soft and the muscles lose their strength. Maybe there's something in that with like why we feel like when we're doing something that's important to us, like a business or whatever it is, you have to come up against some kind of resistance in order to grow. And that is the point of having a business. It is for it to grow and for it to be successful. And so there definitely has to be this certain level of struggle, resistance for that to happen. Just the other weekend, I had my summer soiree for my art, announcing my summer art studio sale. And it turned out to be like a very successful event. I sold
it was amazing. It was
5 paintings that night.
And it wasn't even a selling night, right? It was
like a party. It was like an art salon, but I sold 5 paintings that night, and amazing. And I thought to my head, okay, now I can relax a little bit. I don't know what that meant really in my head, but I said the sentence. And like the next day, I kind of didn't know what to, after we cleaned everything up, I kind of didn't know what to do with myself. And I was kind of like pacing around. And then I went right back into painting again. Like I did not take a break. And I think it takes more effort to not struggle.
Yeah, I mean that
is to struggle.
Yeah, because you're used to it, right? That's your comfort. Yeah. You're comfortable in the discomfort, right? Like there's. I think that somebody said that better than I just did. But there's some saying like that. But well, look, the feeling that you had after is something we've talked about, like that. People have that when I was on tour, I had that sort of thing, and I spoke to other people who do different types of tours. And I was on a music tour also, but I'm talking specifically about the tennis tour. There's this thing where you go and it's your routine of going, getting ready for the show or getting ready for the match. When we're there on site or we're not on site, and the tournament wraps up, and like you're so tired from everything. There's a bit of a weird feel, like afterwards, like because there's this culmination of this excitement and this thing and whatever, and you're like. You feel like you've been unplugged from like the universe. Like you just don't know what's going on. Like, what do I do today? Like I'm supposed to, oh no, I don't have to do that now because that tournament is over. Like if you go from tournament to tournament, you just go on autopilot. But if you go from tournament to no tournament or from a music tour or a film, like you're working on a film set, whatever it is, if it's a small one and it's, 30 days or 20 days or 40 days or a longer one, 60, 90 days, like every day, like you're doing it, you go and, even when you get a day off, that's fine because it's just like to rest, but it's like, I'm going to go here. I'm going to go to set. This is where I go get lunch. This is what I do, whatever. And then it's over and you're like, I don't know what to do. Like, it's a very, very, very weird feeling. But I think the struggle thing, I think, is a little bit different. I mean, you worked really hard to get that soiree done. It was amazing. What are we calling them? Tea sandwiches, finger sandwiches, whatever. Someone didn't like what we called whatever. Like, I mean, boy, was that a lot of work. Like, oh my goodness gracious. Like, that was like just
I
whatever.
learned a lot about tea sandwiches. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
we have to do it differently next time for sure, because that was just way too much work for you. But yeah, but I just I don't know. I think that it's hard to find that balance. It's hard to find that working hard without it being a struggle or this feeling of struggle. And maybe it's because struggle is glorified or whatever. I don't know. Maybe that's part of it. I don't know. But it almost feels like it has to be this negative part to get to this positive part. I don't know. Maybe it's as simple as like cracking an egg, right? To make an omelet. Like, I don't know.
Well, it could also be that we feel like we're doing something when we're struggling. Like we can
Sure.
really feel, but I'm doing something. I'm accomplishing something because this is so hard.
But you think it has to be?
No, I don't think it has to be. I'm just trying to get into the psychology of like why it's such a common way to be when people are doing hard things. I feel like when people see someone working hard, they kind of say, "Oh, well, look at them. They're really working hard." So maybe there's something wrapped up in that.
Yeah. I get that part. But I'm trying to wrap my head around the struggle versus the hard work, right? Like, why does it have to be this struggle mentality? Like, it's like we glorify it. Like, I think it's become glorified. It's become, look, when you work out, and I say this for the people out there who work out because I have no idea what that is, but when you see people working out, they're like they make noises and they gotta make these funny noises. Like, I made it. Like, and it's like, dude, relax. Just why don't you just lift 5 pounds less? Like why does this have to be a struggle? Like, it's a weird. It's like if I'm struggling, I'm okay. And just even saying that out loud. I mean, think about that sentence. If I'm struggling, I'm okay. Like, how weird.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
But it is. That's how people look at it. That's if I'm struggling, I'm comfortable there. That's the right way to be. I'm supposed to be struggling. And it's like, if that's your mentality, then of course you're going to be that way. Like, I'm trying to think of.
Well, here's the other side of that, Jay. Like, a lot of times, I know this has happened to me where like I do certain things and they come fairly easy. Let's say there's something that I do that comes fairly easy to me.
Okay.
And it's like people look at that and they because we make it look easy, they think it's not hard. It's like no problem, And I think I've experienced that a little bit where like if I can decorate a house. I can put things together in a way that people are like, how do you do that? And so sometimes I feel like people minimize the things that you're doing because you've made it just look so easy. Yeah. But it's really not so easy. It's that you've cultivated a skill with a lot of practice. And so maybe some people want to show the struggle because they want people to acknowledge that, if this were easy, everybody would be doing it. I don't know. I'm trying to dig into all the different ways that we process, the things that we do and how we're perceived and how we perceive other people.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think it's could be something to that. Like, if you make it look too easy, right? Then they're like, why should I pay for it? Or what's the big deal?
Yeah. Like why is that $2,000? Why is that $5,000? Or why are you charging me, $200 to come paint with you for 2 hours, buy all the materials and the place and clean up, and you're going to leave with the painting? Why should I pay $200 for that? You know what I mean? Like, so
it's, there's a line, again, I'm not going to do this one justice, but there's some sort of line around that about like where someone asks somebody to do a logo or something like that, and they do it like in
Oh,
5 minutes.
I know which one you're talking about. Yeah,
And
on a piece,
they're
on a
like,
napkin.
yeah, and they're like, it's like whatever, that's $15,000. And they're like, what are you talking about? It took you 5 minutes. He said, it took me 20 years of training to get to this, to do this for you in 5 minutes. So you're not paying me for the 5 minutes. You're paying me for the 20 years of work that I went into doing this. And there's something to be done. Like, look, and I'm not, I've seen it. I've spoken to people about this that I know that do stuff, and they're like, they're done early with a project, right? Like they had whatever, 6 weeks to build something or whatever it is, doesn't matter. And the proposal, and they're done in 3 weeks. And people on the team are like, great, ship it. And they're like, no. We're not shipping this. We're not shipping this that early. If we ship this that early, they're going to always think we can do it in 3 weeks. We got lucky, or something happened, and we everybody lined up at the same time, but that doesn't usually happen. So
Right.
I've got to be prepared for this. I quoted them 6 weeks, maybe 5.5 weeks. I'm going to deliver it, but I'm not delivering it in 3 weeks. There's no chance.
Yeah. That's
so. It's
totally
a weird.
fair and
It's
smart.
weird how people look at other people's work, and maybe part of it is that people don't value what other people do, and therefore, if I show you that I struggled to accomplish this for you, will you value it more? Will you value me more? Will I be able to get paid what I really do deserve to get paid for this? Like, I don't know if that is part of the psychology around it. But it very well could be.
I'm thinking the same thing as we're kind of going through this. I'm thinking there's the definition of value and what is it for each individual and what they value. And I think it seems pretty universal that if you see someone working really hard, and you could classify it as, they're struggling because they've started this business and it's a lot of work. And I think maybe if they show that, or they feel that way, and then that manifests in people seeing it, they'll be valued, or they'll be looked at that, well, they really work hard, and people will give them more respect in what they do. But I think oftentimes the person playing that game and trying to show how hard they're working, or even just, embodying that feeling. Because, there were many years I embodied this struggle with this business. Like, I didn't go out, my friends didn't see me as much. I didn't talk to people as much. I was so truly invested in this because I felt that I had to. I felt that if people were investing in me, I had to do this. And I felt like this obligation to really work as hard as I could to deserve what they've invested in me. That was also a real thing. Thinking back to all these feelings and all these, reasons for being that way. But the thing is, I think you get stuck in that then.
Yeah.
And I think I got stuck in it. So I think that's the downside. I think you could really get stuck in that mindset. And who wants to live that way,
Apparently a lot of people.
And for all the reasons probably we've just described, because these feelings are very universal, and
I think the takeaway or the thing to kind of think about and work on is, how do you do what you want to do or what you're meant to do? Work hard. I mean, there's nothing wrong with working hard, but it's also okay to not struggle. It's okay to work towards getting your life into a place where it doesn't have to be a struggle. And I'm not saying, a lot of people I've admired over the years, successful people in all different realms, business, sports, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And, I remember I've heard Mark Cuban talk about how, when all my friends were out on Saturday night partying, I was coding.
Yeah,
and
you hear those stories. Yeah,
I'm a billionaire and they're not. So you hear that, and obviously that doesn't sound like a lot of fun, although I've certainly done that, and I have coded. I've gone out on a Saturday night till Monday, but I've also, been up, not coding like he did, but working on coding and crashing all night long on a Saturday night, all through Sunday, and not sleeping and screaming and all of this. So I get that part, but I'd say finding a way to work hard without it being a struggle. And it doesn't mean don't make sacrifices, because I think we do have to make sacrifices if we want to achieve things, and whatever that may be.
Yeah, absolutely.
You want to have a family, there are sacrifices you have to make to have a family. You have to put up with certain things. You have to adapt to certain things, different, that's not a bad thing, but that's part of, there's a goal of having that. And if it's having friends, if it's having money, if it's having a business, whatever, there's nothing wrong with making sacrifices to get there. But I think it shouldn't be the driving force. Like, the driving force should be what you're trying to accomplish. And as you're getting there and getting closer to it and better at it, and, reaching that level, and then you want to reach the next level, that's fine. But I think if we can adjust the mindset around it being, not it being a struggle all the time, but more being like a good work ethic, or whatever you want to call it, or a good stable way to kind of live, and constantly, pushing yourself is a good thing. But I think the word struggle is like negative. And I'm a big fan of kind of removing negative words and negative energy and negative thoughts. And, maybe that's one of those things, that if you're living like that and you're feeling that, like, maybe you can kind of cut yourself some slack and find a way to still work hard without it, romanticizing the struggle.
Yeah. And one other thing that also just popped in, like, when we're doing this, we think it's short term. We think, oh, I can struggle for a little while until this gets going. I think that's often in there, but not said. And then it takes longer. And so you're struggling, you're doing this, really working hard, because it's not going to be forever. And if there's momentum, you want to build on the momentum. And I know I did that through the QVC stuff. I think when that QVC opportunity came through, probably a year and a half after that, past the pandemic, I think that was when I was really probably working the hardest, because I felt like this is the time. And if I don't do this now, I'm going to lose this opportunity. So I think a lot of times it's that the time stretches longer than we think it's going to be.
Yeah.
And so I think what you said about the mindset and understanding that it's okay to take that on for a little while, but that's not the way to live your life.
Yeah.
And that's just not sustainable, and it's not healthy.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I would agree. Very cool. Awesome. Well,
Hopefully that was helpful.
It was helpful it was helpful to me. So, like, if it wasn't helpful to anybody else, tough toenails. But no, I think, look, all we can do is point out things that we think that could be helpful. And I think we've, just
things we've been through.
Yeah. We didn't really discuss this before in too much detail. Like, and I think we raised some really interesting points. So I'm going to try to learn from that myself, and we'll see where we go. We'll keep you posted. But anyway, thank you very much for tuning in. And we look forward to seeing you guys next week. Same bat channel, for Pickles and Pasta with Steph and Jay.
Bye.